So for over 60 years, NASA has set the standard for safety and security in crewed space flight. In these endeavors, including the 25 years of continuous human presence on board the International Space Station, the health and the well-being of our astronauts is always and will be our highest priority. Yesterday, January 7th, a single crew member on board the station experienced a medical situation and is now stable. After discussions with Chief Health and Medical Officer Dr. J.D. Polk and leadership across the agency, I've come to the decision that it's in the best interest of our astronauts to return Crew 11 ahead of their planned departure. Within the coming days, the Dragon Endeavour spacecraft will depart the International Space Station with Commander Zena Cardman, pilot Mike Fink, Kimya Yui from JAXA, and Oleg Platonov of Roscosmos, and safely return them to Earth. We expect to provide a further update within the next 48 hours as to the anticipated undock and reentry timeline. Over the last 5 months, Crew 11 contributed to the ongoing operations of the space station, conducted extensive scientific research, completed the majority of their mission objectives, and upheld the standards of professionalism for which astronauts are known. Crew 12 is currently scheduled to launch as soon as mid-February. Alongside our international and commercial partners, NASA is evaluating their timeline to include earlier launch opportunities. In the meantime, NASA astronaut Chris Williams, having launched to the station on November 27th on Soyuz MS-28, maintains our American presence in space and will support the space station's operations and scientific efforts. NASA astronauts and our teams in mission control and our professionals who train for every possible scenario at every step of the mission, including moments just like this. I'm proud of the swift effort across the agency thus far to ensure the safety of our astronauts, and I know NASA and our commercial partners will successfully bring Crew 11 safely home. As we mentioned before, obviously this was a serious medical condition. That is why we're pursuing this path. Crew member is stable, as we mentioned. We're not electing an emergency deorbit. But obviously, as we've already communicated, the capability to diagnose and treat this properly does not live on the International Space Station. And I think there's pretty broad agreement across our experts here on the ground, as well as the crew members in space. So I think there's complete alignment around that.
I'll still reiterate, as a physician, that I'm not going to speak about any particular. And as many of you know, we have a very robust suite of medical hardware on board the International Space Station, but we don't have the complete amount of hardware that I would have in the emergency department, for example, to complete a workup of a patient. And in this particular incident, that the medical incident was sufficient enough that we were concerned about the astronaut, that we would like to complete that workup. And the best way to complete that workup is on the ground, where we have the full suite of medical testing hardware. Now, again, because the astronaut is absolutely stable, this is not an emergent evacuation. We're not immediately disembarking and getting the astronaut down. But it leaves that lingering risk and lingering question as to what that diagnosis is. And that means there's some lingering risk for that astronaut on board. And so always we err on the side of the astronaut's health and welfare. And in this particular case, we are doing the same. This was totally unrelated to any operations on board. And of course, we do a huge amount of testing for astronauts before they go to orbit. And they're used to those operational environments. They practice the spacewalk and the pre-breathe many, many, many times. But this was not related to the operations or the spacewalk at all. Yeah, once again, this is not an operational issue. This is not an injury that occurred in the pursuit of operations, if that was the question. But unrelated to the operational environment that we have right now. It's mostly having a medical issue in the difficult areas of microgravity, and with the suite of hardware that we have at our avail to complete a diagnosis.